first thing I did after being reborn was drop 10 million in cash and drag my best friend and the campus belle off to get tattoos. On my buddy's left arm, I had them ink Neza. On his right, Erlangshin, the illustrious sage. For the campus belle, the 9 heavens mystic maiden across her entire back. And for myself, Pangu, splitting open the heavens, right across my chest. On my back, 9 dragons dragging the coffin. On my left leg, Donghuang Tai. On my right, the great sage himself, Sun Wukong. I even mortgaged 300 million in cash to buy an abandoned bunker buried deep in the mountains. Everyone called me a spoiled brat burning through his family's fortune. What they didn't know was, in 20 days the apocalypse would hit. Every plant and animal on Earth would mutate overnight. Docile pets would turn into bloodthirsty monsters. Roadside plants would become meat grinders, and humanity would plummet straight to the bottom of the food chain. The only people with any hope were those who carried totem tattoos, capable of awakening superhuman power. With exactly 20 days left until the red moon arrived, I didn't hesitate for a second. I called my lawyer immediately. Lawyer Zhang. Liquidate every share I own. Everything worth $1 billion. The real estate, the luxury cars, mortgage all of it to the international underground exchanges. Yes, all of it. I want cash even if it means selling at 30 cents on the dollar. I need 300 million sitting in my account within 24 hours. After hanging up, I quickly dialed 2 more numbers. Half an hour later, my best friends Su Xiaodao and Jiang Xini, Zhangzhou University's famously frosty campus belle, found themselves dragged, utterly bewildered, into the city's most secretive underground tattoo parlor. Bro Lai, have you lost your mind? You mortgaged your entire family fortune just to drag us here for tattoos. Qin Lai, what exactly is going on with you? If you're acting out because Zhao Yuqing dumped you, there's really no need to torture yourself like this. I looked at the two of them, my voice more serious than they'd ever heard it. Xini Xiaodao, there's no time to explain. If you still trust me, just go along with this. Today, seeing the deadly seriousness in my eyes, a look they barely recognized, the two of them finally gritted their teeth and nodded. I turned to the heavyset tattoo master and slapped a bank card loaded with $1,000,000 down on the table. Master, I've got a big job for you. I pointed at Su Xiaodao. My buddy here, Neza on the left arm, Erlangshin, the illustrious sage, on the right. Then I turned to Jiang Xini, and cover her entire back with the 9 heavens mystic maiden. Jiang Xini flinched, a flicker of complicated emotion crossing her usually icy eyes. Qin Lai, when exactly did I agree to let you make decisions for me? I looked at her, my voice dropping. Not this time. I won't let you die again. Jiang Xini's pupils contracted slightly. She had no idea what I meant, but I remembered. Last time, trying to save me, she'd been dragged into a mutated boar's den. By the time I found her, all I'd recovered was a torn, blood-soaked scrap of her clothing. This time I'd protect her no matter what. The old master glanced down, pocketed the card. Fair enough. And you? I pulled off my shirt, baring my lean, muscled torso, and spoke slowly, word by word. Me, I want Pangu splitting the heavens across my chest. 9 dragons dragging the coffin on my back. Donghuang Tai on my left leg, the great sage on my right. The old master's tattoo gun clattered to the floor. He stared at me like I'd lost my mind. Kid, are you trying to get yourself killed? Pangu splitting the heavens is already a forbidden, destiny-altering totem. And now you want 9 dragons dragging the coffin too? That thing isn't some ordinary mythological design. It's a forbidden mark that buries 10,000 souls. I gave a cold laugh. Then name your price. $1 million's not enough? Fine, 10 million. You handle the needle yourself, your apprentices assist. 7 days. It has to be done. The old master's face went pale. 7 days? Are you out of your mind? A piece this size, 7 days, is flat out impossible. I pulled a list from my jacket and tossed it onto the table. Military-grade regeneration gel, biosynthetic healing patches, imported anesthetics, infection prevention meds. I've got it all covered. Just ink it. I'll handle the rest, even if it kills me. The old master stared at me, dead silent for a solid 30 seconds. Finally, he bent down, picked the tattoo gun back up, and spoke, his voice hoarse. Fine. I've been doing this my whole life, and I've never seen anyone this crazy. I'll take the job. 3 days later, deep in the mountains on the outskirts of Zhangzhou, at a derelict underground facility codenamed Blackstone. On the surface, it looked like a Cold War-era bunker that had later been converted into a maximum security prison. But I knew its real history. It had once been a sealed underground command center from a bygone era. The core structure, the power core shaft, the ventilation system, the water reserves, all of it was still intact. What I was paying for wasn't construction from scratch. It was a restoration, reboot the systems, reinforce the structure, and complete the firepower setup. Over those 3 days, I only made one personal trip out to Blackstone Base, to sign the contracts, inspect the structure, and confirm the power core and ventilation systems were still functional. Everything else I left to the lawyers and the construction crew. After all, buying the base wasn't what was eating up my time. It was the 4 forbidden totems being carved into my body. Sir, are you absolutely sure you want to pay 30 million for this godforsaken pile of rubble? The real estate agent wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, staring at me. Zhangzhou's notorious black sheep. Not only buying this dump, but planning to renovate it too. I signed the contract with a flourish. and get me the best security construction crew in the country. I want this place turned into a doomsday fortress within 10 days. One that not even a fly could slip through. A 5-meter wall of military-grade titanium alloy, blast doors rated to withstand tens of millions of tons of force. A top-tier ecological life support system, and that sealed power core underground. Get it fully repaired and back online. I pulled out 100 million in cash. All of it goes into this within 10 days. Money is not a problem. I'm paying triple wages. Round-the-clock shifts. As one order after another went out, the entire Jiangzhou construction industry was sent into an uproar. Meanwhile, I was sitting bare-chested in the innermost room of the ghost den, the underground tattoo parlor. Dim yellow light fell across the walls, hung floor to ceiling with grotesque, eerie totem designs. The air was thick with the mingled smell of antiseptic and tattoo ink. The old master worked the needle himself, while 3 apprentices assisted, mixing ink, tracing outlines, wiping down my skin. On my back, the 9 dragons dragging the coffin already had its first dragon outlined. Even without its eyes inked in yet, the design radiated an indescribable, oppressive weight. Beside me, Su Xiaodao's Neza tattoo had already taken shape on his left arm, baring its teeth fiercely. Next door, in a private room, a female tattoo artist was filling in the details on Jiang Xini's 9 Heavens Mystic Maiden. My phone sat beside me the whole time, the screen lighting up nonstop with messages from lawyers, agents, the construction crew, suppliers. Through the searing pain of the needle digging into my skin, I kept issuing remote instructions. The renovation of Blackstone Base was moving forward in parallel. The tattoos and the fortress, neither could afford a single delay. I swiped open my phone, and a news alert popped up. Shocking. Wealthy heir, devastated by breakup, sells off entire fortune to buy abandoned prison in the wilderness. I opened a live stream app and tapped on the top trending stream in the city. And there he was, the guy I'd once called a friend. Su Rui, son of Jiangzhou's richest man. On screen, Su Rui sat in his luxury villa downtown, swirling a glass of red wine, laughing so hard he was nearly doubled over. Ha ha ha. What is even going on with Qin Lai? Did something snap in his brain or what? Young Master Su. Lucky for me, I saw through that lunatic months ago and dumped him early. And get this, I heard he even dragged that stuck-up Jiang Xini off to get gang tattoos with him. I'm literally dying. As the camera shifted, a glimpse of fresh red ink peeked out from Zhao Yuqing's waist. A flower branch, vivid and blood red. I glanced at it, my eyes going cold for just a moment. A higanbana, the flower of the other shore. In my last life, Zhao Yuqing never had that tattoo. Looks like this time around, she'd put in some real effort to win over Su Rui. Su Rui, fired up, shouted into the camera. You guys won't believe this. Qin Lai didn't just dump his money into that cave in the mountains. I heard he also spent over 100 million buying out pork and rice from every supermarket in the city. Like he's planning to live in there for the rest of his life. The chat exploded instantly. Damn. Being poor really limits my imagination. Is this just how rich people think now? Jiang Xini is literally our goddess, and she's actually following him into some bunker? Verdicts in, Qin Lai's totally lost it. Someone should just commit him. Watching the wave of mockery and abuse flooding the internet, Su Xiaodao was shaking with rage. Bro Lai, that bastard Su Rui is paying people to bully you online. Let me go settle this with him. Don't bother with him. I felt the needle tearing into my skin as I watched Su Rui's smug face on the screen. My expression perfectly calm. The higher he jumped now, the harder he'd fall later. Xiaodao, keep monitoring the construction crews. Our doomsday fortress can't afford a single mistake. A full 7 days had passed since my rebirth. In that time, I'd barely left this underground room. Master Guifu and his 3 apprentices worked in rotating shifts, tracing outlines by day, filling in color by night, refining the details before dawn. To push through it all, I'd even had someone source military-grade jade essence gel and biosynthetic healing patches off the black market. The moment a section of totem was finished, the gel sealed it over immediately, otherwise my skin would never have held up under that kind of strain. On the night of the 7th day, deep inside the ghost den, the buzz of the tattoo gun finally fell silent. Su Xiaodao's Neza and Erlangshin had been finished 2 days earlier. Jiang Xini's 9 Heavens Mystic Maiden had received its final stroke the day before, and now, on my body, all 4 forbidden totems were complete. My chest, Pangu splitting the heavens. My back, 9 dragons dragging the coffin. My left leg, Donghuang Tai. My right, the Great Sage. Master Guifu pulled off his gloves, stared at the designs covering my body, and let out a long breath. Done. Mr. Qin, I've been at this my whole life and I've never taken on a job this big. Pangu splitting the heavens, 9 dragons dragging the coffin, Donghuang Tai, the Great Sage. Say what you want, but with this set alone, nobody in Jiangzhou's tattoo scene could claim to be better than Ghost Denver. I stood up from the tattoo chair. In the mirror, the 4 forbidden totems covered my chest, back, and legs, every line sharp, bold, weighty. The 9 dragons dragging the coffin on my back stood out most of all. 9 black dragons coiled upward from both sides, scales layered upon scales, their 9 tails converging at the center of my back, dragging an ancient black coffin behind them. Chains wound across the coffin's surface, glinting like starlight. It was nothing but ink, and yet it radiated an indescribable, crushing presence. Su Xiaodao circled around me, swallowing hard. Bro lie, that's insane. If I hadn't watched it get done with my own eyes, I'd swear that thing's gonna move on its own at night. I put my shirt back on, covering the totems. For now, they were just ink. Once the red moon arrived, that's when they'd truly wake up. Su Xiaodao froze. The red moon. I didn't explain right away. I just picked up my phone and checked the time. 12 days left until the red moon arrived. Let's go. Time to head to Blackstone Base and check on our fortress. 2 hours later, we arrived deep in the mountains on the outskirts of Zhangzhou. Blackstone Base had already gone through its initial renovation. The ventilation system, the power core, and the ecological life support system had all been brought back online. Over the next 12 days, I barely rested. By day, I personally oversaw the remaining construction at Blackstone. By night, I used the source power from my rebirth to suppress the backlash of the 4 forbidden totems. Truckload after truckload of supplies poured into the base: rice, flour, fresh frozen meat, canned goods, drinking water, medical supplies, diesel fuel, heavy-duty off-road vehicles, backup generators, military-grade protective gear. Every survival resource I could get my hands on, I bought it all up. Everyone on the outside thought I'd gone completely insane. Only I knew the truth. Civilization didn't have much time left. The day before the red moon, the last shipment of supplies arrived at Blackstone Base. The warehouse was piled to the ceiling: rice, flour, drinking water, canned goods, fresh frozen meat, medicine, diesel, backup generators, military protective gear, all stacked in mountains. All 3 underground storage levels were packed nearly to bursting. Su Xiaodao stood at the warehouse entrance, staring blankly. Bro lie, are you planning on living in here for the rest of your life and then some? Jiang Xini stared at the scene in silence too. She'd known I'd been stockpiling supplies, but actually seeing this underground warehouse crammed with survival resources still made her frown. Qin Lai, what exactly are you preparing for? I didn't answer right away. I just walked to the center of the warehouse and slowly raised my right hand. The next instant, the ground rippled, and in a flash, 3 stories worth of supplies, weighing thousands of tons, vanished into thin air. The warehouse, packed to the brim a moment ago, was completely empty within a single second. All that remained were the indentation marks pressed into the floor and the lingering smell of diesel and grain hanging in the air. Su Xiaodao froze stiff. He blinked, rubbed his eyes, then bolted into the center of the warehouse and circled the empty floor 3 times. Holy crap! He spun around to face me, his voice cracking. Bro lie, where's all the stuff? That whole warehouse full of supplies. Where did it go? I literally just blinked, and a few thousand tons of supplies just vanished. There's not even a trace left. Are you doing magic tricks, or what? Jiang Xini's reaction wasn't as dramatic as Su Xiaodao's, but even her usually cool, composed eyes had clearly lost their calm. She walked slowly toward me, staring at my right hand. Bro lie, what exactly is going on with you? I went quiet for a moment. At this point, there was no reason to keep hiding it from them any longer. Less than 24 hours remained until the red moon. They needed to know the truth. I spoke slowly. This is the stasis space. It's tied to certain changes that happened to my body. About the rebirth itself, I still didn't say everything. Not because I didn't trust them, but because saying too much right now would only add to the weight they were already carrying. I continued. All you need to know is that this space can store massive amounts of supplies, and time inside it nearly stands still. Food won't spoil, medicine won't expire. Diesel, weapons, beast cores, everything can be preserved indefinitely. Su Xiaodao's jaw dropped. So all that stuff you've been stockpiling, you weren't planning to leave it in some warehouse. You're carrying it with you. That's right. Bro lie. What else have you been keeping from us? Tomorrow night, the red moon arrives. The red moon. At midnight tomorrow, the moon will turn blood red. Right after that, black mist will erupt from beneath the earth and sweep across the entire planet. Every plant and animal will mutate. Cats and dogs will become man-eating monsters. Plants will devour living people. Cities will collapse into chaos within hours. Human civilization will fall apart. In a single night, the warehouse went dead silent. Su Xiaodao's lips moved, but this time, no joke came out. What he'd just seen, thousands of tons of supplies vanishing into thin air, had already shattered everything he thought he knew. Jiang Xini didn't argue either. She just stared at me intently. Proof. What you just saw is part of the proof. So are the tattoos on your bodies. Jiang Xini instinctively glanced toward her own back. I went on. The red moon's energy will activate human tattoos, turning them into true totem avatars. An ordinary design can only awaken the most basic physical enhancements. A beast design can awaken transformation abilities. But a divine totem awakens a true avatar. The older and more complete the totem, the stronger the destiny it carries, and the more terrifying the awakened power becomes. So you had them ink Neza and Erlang Shen on me? To keep me alive? Both Neza and Erlang Shen, the Manifest Sage, are top-tier divine totems. If you can survive the Red Moon's awakening, you'll be stronger than nearly every other awakened out there. Then I turned to Jiang Sini. Sini, the Nine Heavens Mystic Maiden is a high-tier avatar that combines offense, defense, purification, and battlefield command all in one. In the apocalypse, toxic mists, contamination, and mental corruption are only going to get worse. Your totem is going to matter a lot. So selling off your fortune, buying Blackstone base, stockpiling supplies, dragging us off to get tattoos, none of it was some spur-of-the-moment thing. You already knew something huge was coming. Yes, the shock on Jiang Sini's face slowly faded, replaced by tension. Su Xiaodao's expression shifted too. Wait, bro Lai, what about my parents? My mom and dad are still at the auto repair shop in the south part of the city. You, relax. I've already sent people to bring them here. You did what? A live feed came through from the convoy, a black armored van pulling up outside an old street in the southern district. The doors opened. 2 bodyguards in black combat gear escorted a middle-aged couple into the vehicle. The man was short, his skin weathered and tanned, his hands stained with years of grease from working on cars. Su Xiaodao stared at the screen, his eyes welling up instantly. Bro Lai, I told them Blackstone base needed maintenance and logistics staff, and reached out to your parents ahead of time. They don't know anything about the apocalypse. They just think I'm paying them well for a short-term job at the base. The convoy will arrive in 20 minutes. Su Xiaodao's lips moved, but for a long moment, nothing came out. In my last life, after the Red Moon hit, Su Xiaodao had risked everything trying to make it back to the southern district to save his parents. But by then, the old street was already overrun by mutated swarms. All he ever found was his father's broken wrench, and his mother's old apron, the one she'd never been able to bring herself to throw away. After that, Su Xiaodao fought like a man possessed, cutting down everything in his path, until the day he finally died in a monster's den. This time, I wasn't going to let any of them go through that pain again. I patted him on the shoulder. Don't worry. This time, I made sure your parents got out safe, for good. Su Xiaodao bowed his head, his shoulders trembling slightly. After a long moment, he finally looked up, his eyes red-rimmed. Bro Lai, thank you. I just smiled. Jiang Sini watched all this in silence, then quietly asked, and my father? Academician Jiang is perfectly safe. You know about my father? Jiang Chengyuan, academician of the Dragon Nation's Energy Research Institute. 2 weeks ago, the military pulled him into an underground facility in the capital to work on a top-priority energy core project. It's currently one of the safest places in the entire Dragon Nation. As for your mother, I paused. Jiang Sini's mother had passed away from illness years ago, a wound she still carried. She didn't press for more. She just gave a small, quiet nod. I understand. I looked at the two of them, my voice dropping lower. From this point on, Blackstone base goes into full lockdown. Nobody leaves. Su Xiaodao took a deep breath and nodded. Jiang Sini slowly reached back, pressing a hand against the Nine Heavens Mystic Maiden tattoo on her back. I looked up at the night sky outside the base. Everything was in place. All that was left now was to wait. The next morning, in the underground living quarters of Blackstone base, Su Xiaodao's parents had already been settled into the safest living pod available. Su Jiangwo had served in the military when he was younger. Even without knowing what was about to happen, the moment he saw the defenses at Blackstone base, he immediately sensed something was off. He didn't ask any questions. He just clapped Su Xiaodao on the shoulder and said, "Follow Mr. Qin's lead. Work hard." Li Guilan, meanwhile, had spent the whole morning busy in the kitchen, insisting on making us a whole pot of dumplings. Su Xiaodao ate with his eyes red, but kept smiling through it. Right before the end of the world, a hot home-cooked meal was the last luxury most people would ever have. The night before, I'd already moved the final shipment of supplies into the stasis space. Blackstone base's final blast door, 10 thick beams of reinforced alloy, had also been sealed shut just before dawn. The entire underground fortress blazed with light, the long-sealed power core now running flawlessly. On the monitor screens, a full 360-degree feed of the surrounding terrain played without a single blind spot. Su Xiaodao sat nearby, a bowl of dumplings in his lap, watching the monitors. Jiang Sini stood in front of the giant display, checking over the external defense systems. The Nine Heavens Mystic Maiden tattoo on her body had fully healed, and there was now an edge to her usual cool composure, something sharp and hard to put into words. Just then, my phone buzzed with another trending news notification. Su Rui had gone live again. On screen, Su Rui was still in his luxury downtown villa, hosting some extravagant party. Under crystal chandeliers, champagne towers, blasting music, beautiful women, and other rich kids filled the stream, the whole scene dripping with excess. I glanced up at the clock. Less than an hour left until the Red Moon. Su Rui had an arm around Zhao Yuqing, sneering into the camera. You guys seeing this? That lunatic Qin Lai's probably hiding in his little bunker in the mountains right now, surrounded by rice and pork he bought with his entire fortune. And he even dragged Jiang Sini off to get tattooed with him. He doesn't actually think the end of the world is coming, does he? Zhao Yuqing leaned into his chest, laughing so hard she was practically shaking. Honestly, young Master Su, I'm kind of curious how Qin Lai's gonna explain himself tomorrow. Su Rui swirled the wine glass in his hand, laughing even harder. If nothing happens tonight, Tomorrow I'm taking some guys up into the mountains, smashing that pathetic bunker of his to pieces, and personally dropping him off at the nearest psych ward. In the chat, mockery and cheering blended into one big party. Meanwhile, inside Blackstone Base, the only sound was the low, steady hum of the power core. I lifted my wrist and checked the time. 11:59 and 50 seconds p.m. 10 seconds left until the red moon. Outside, the world was still partying. Inside Blackstone Base, there was nothing but the low hum of the power core. 10 seconds later, I set down my knife and fork. The countdown hit 0. A deep hum, like something ancient stirring awake, rolled through the air, and the entire planet shuddered violently. In the live stream, Su Rue's laughter cut off instantly. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows of his villa, the bright, clear moon hanging in the night sky had, in that single instant, turned an eerie, unnatural color. It looked like a bloodshot eye, staring down at the world below. Right after, a thick, impenetrable black mist surged up from underground, blanketing the entire city of Jiangzhou in an instant. Whoa, what the hell is that thing? The moon? Why is the moon actually red? Su Rue screamed in terror, not even noticing the wine glass shattering on the floor. Woof woof growlol. On screen, the purebred toy poodle in Zhao Yuqing's arms suddenly let out a bone-chilling growl. In front of hundreds of thousands of viewers, the little dog's body began swelling up like a balloon, sprouting coarse black fur all over, its eyes turning blood red, its jaw filling with razor-sharp fangs. The monstrous thing that had been a poodle lunged at Zhao Yuqing, its claws slashing across her shoulder and knocking her flat to the ground. The camera shook violently as a scream pierced through the audio. "Young Master Su, help me!" Zhao Yuqing, deathly pale, desperately reached out toward Su Rue, but he was already frozen with terror. "Get away! Don't touch me!" He stumbled backward, kicking her outstretched hand away, and scrambled up the stairs toward the second floor. Zhao Yuqing collapsed onto the floor, her torn clothing soaking through with blood, her whole body shaking. "Su Rue, help me!" But all that answered her was the sight of Su Rue's back, fleeing in a blind panic. The mutated poodle thing growled and closed in on her again, its blood-red eyes locked onto her. In the chat, comments flooded by in a panic. "Someone help her! How did Su Rue just run? He was just saying he loved her. And now he's leaving her to die. Oh no, she's done for." The hope in Zhao Yuqing's eyes faded, replaced by burning resentment and despair. Just as the creature was about to lunge at her, the red Higanbana tattoo at her waist suddenly lit up with an eerie, bloody glow. Translucent red petals began blooming silently from beneath her, one after another. The air filled with a cold, sickly sweet floral scent. The mutated poodle froze mid-motion, as though it had caught the scent of something deeply dangerous. Fear flickered across those blood-red eyes. Zhao Yuqing slowly raised her head. Reflected deep in her pupils was a sea of blood-red blossoms in full bloom, radiating an indescribable chill. "Why did even you have to leave me behind?" Su Rue had just reached the stairs when he heard those words, and his whole body went rigid. He turned around to see Higanbana flowers blooming silently beneath Zhao Yuqing, one after another. The petals moved like living things, wrapping slowly around the mutated poodle's limbs. The same creature that had been ferociously snarling just moments before. Now it lay collapsed on the ground, trembling, as if trapped inside a nightmare. Zhao Yuqing braced herself against the wall and slowly pushed herself upright. The wound on her shoulder was already covered in red floral patterns, and an unsettling smile crept across her pale face. In the chat, everything exploded at once. "Whoa! Did she just awaken? Are those flowers growing on her? What kind of power is that? This is way too creepy." The next second, the screen went completely black. The stream had cut out. I looked at my own dark phone screen, the corner of my mouth curling into a cold smile. The Yellow Springs Higanbana. Where it blooms, there's no road back. This time around, Zhao Yuqing had picked herself a fitting destination after all. Out there, every gang, every faction, all of it was descending into chaos. Su Xiaodao stared at the city footage playing across the monitors. His voice trembled as he watched. Then I cut in. "Stop watching the outside world. Steady your minds." I spun around abruptly, my voice sharp, because at that very moment, red moon energy, piercing through hundreds of meters of rock, had reached us. Su Xiaodao and Jiang Xini both let out pained groans at the same time, as red moon energy surged into their bodies like molten lava. On Su Xiaodao's left arm, the Neza tattoo erupted in a pillar of fire that shot toward the sky. On his right arm, the third eye of Erlang Shun, the manifest sage, snapped open, radiating golden light in every direction. On Jiang Xini's back, the Nine Heavens mystic maiden totem unfurled into a vast divine domain that lifted her entire body into the air. Her usual cool aura now radiated something sacred, untouchable. They were awakening. As for me, the red moon energy pouring into my body was 10 times theirs, 100 times theirs. With a roar, I tore my jacket clean off my body, and the Pangu tattoo across my chest erupted in a blinding, dark gold light. A vast, primal force, something that felt capable of crushing eternity itself, exploded outward from me in every direction. Right after that, a tearing pain ripped across my back. 9 low, resonant dragon roars erupted simultaneously deep within the bunker. The 9 dragons dragging the coffin on my back, flooded with red moon energy, fully awakened. 9 massive black dragon forms slowly emerged from behind me, their bodies immense, their scales gleaming with a cold, deadly sheen. Their crimson eyes snapped open in unison, and together they hauled an ancient floating coffin, suspended in the air behind me. Across the black coffin, crimson chains pulled taut, inch by inch. An indescribable, forbidden pressure swept through the entire underground fortress in an instant. Su Xiaodao's face went pale, and he stumbled back several steps. Even the 9 heavens mystic maiden avatar behind Jiang Xini trembled slightly, as though instinctively sensing a threat. On my left leg, the Donghuang Tai totem blazed up like a rising sun, as if it could scorch the entire world to ash. On my right leg, the great sage's silhouette erupted in a towering battle aura, unbroken across countless lifetimes of fighting, untouched by any force. All 4 of my supreme totems awakened at the same time, but I quickly forced down the conflict surging between them. The 4 totems were each far too powerful. As I was now, I couldn't unleash all of them at once without paying a price. Pangu represents raw power. 9 dragons dragging the coffin represents suppression and annihilation. Donghuang Tai represents flame. The great sage represents combat itself. Each time, I could only call on one. Just then, a violent series of impacts echoed against the alloy gate at the bunker's perimeter. On the monitor, mutated boars and wolves from deep in the mountains were slamming themselves against the gate, drawn by the scent of living humans. Bro Lai, the mutated wolves from the mountains. Su Xiaodao gripped a 3-pointed, double-edged blade, formed from Erlang Shun's avatar, a wild gleam burning in his eyes. I cracked my neck, the joints popping with a sound like rolling thunder. Let's go stretch our legs. Let's see if these so-called apocalypse beasts are even worth being a side dish to go with our drinks. Outside the bunker, black mist hung thick in the air. Dozens of mutated beasts were hurling themselves against the gate. At the front, leading the charge, was a mutated boar king, over 3 meters long, its entire body covered in black scales. Each impact made the ground tremble slightly. The side door of the bunker slowly slid open, and I stepped out, bare-chested, with Su Xiaodao and Jiang Xini flanking me. The instant the mutated beasts caught the scent of fresh flesh, they stopped their assault on the gate, turning as one, their crimson eyes locking onto us. The mutated boar king let out a roar and charged on all 4s, barreling toward me like a heavy tank. Bro Lai, watch out, that's a peak tier 1 beast. Su Xiaodao instinctively moved to step in front of me. Stand back, I said coldly without turning. I stood my ground, not flinching, not stepping aside. Just as the boar king's spear-like tusks were about to pierce my chest, I moved. No flashy gestures, no wasted motion. I simply raised my right hand and clenched it into a fist. Pangu's power, I thought silently. The Pangu totem on my chest blazed with dark gold light, and the silhouette of an ancient, primordial giant condensed around my fist. I drove the punch forward. The air itself compressed under the sheer force, letting out an ear-splitting sonic boom, and my fist landed square on the boar king's skull. A dull, resonant impact echoed out as a primordial force punched straight through its skull, shattering every shred of life inside it. The mutated boar king, weighing several tons, didn't even have time to let out a scream before its massive body crumpled at my feet like a pile of mud. One punch, a peak tier 1 beast king, eliminated instantly. Right after, 9 low rumbles came from behind me, and the silhouette of the 9 dragons dragging the coffin materialized at my back. The 9 black dragons slowly opened their eyes. The forbidden pressure radiating from the abyss instantly blanketed the entire forest. The lower-tier mutated beasts didn't even have a chance to fight back. They were slammed flat against the ground, their bones cracking under the unbearable weight. In just 10 seconds, dozens of mutated beasts were completely wiped out. Su Xiaodao stared, completely stunned. Bro Lai, that's just absolutely insane. A beast core. The corner of my mouth lifted slightly. My first take of the apocalypse secured. I tucked the beast core into the stasis space. The moment the beast core went in, I felt the stasis space tremble faintly. The expansion was barely noticeable, but it had grown, just a little. In my last life, people quickly discovered that beast cores didn't just boost and awaken strength. They could also empower special spaces, totem avatars, weapons, and equipment. By the later stages of the apocalypse, they'd even replaced gold and currency entirely, becoming the only universally accepted trade good. I looked over at Su Xiaodao. Dig the beast cores out of all of these. Don't waste the meat either. Purify it and we'll store it. You got it. Su Xiaodao perked right up. You got it. Just then, from somewhere down the mountain path, came the sound of frantic footsteps and screams for help. Help! Somebody help us! A dozen or so disheveled men came stumbling and scrambling toward the bunker. Behind them, several cheetah-sized mutated creatures, blood blade mantises, gave chase. I narrowed my eyes and recognized the man in the lead. Fat Lou, the contractor who'd handled the exterior construction at Blackstone Base. In my last life, this same group of men had kicked me while I was down, shoving me toward a monster just to buy themselves a few extra seconds. Boss Chin, young Master Chin, please help us. Let us in. Just for a minute. We're all from Jiangzhou. You can't just stand there and watch us die. I stood my ground, watching him coldly. Stand there and watch them die, huh? A flicker of ice passed through my eyes. Last time, when you were the ones kicking me while I was down, did the thought, we're all from Jiangzhou, ever cross your minds then? Fat Lou let out a nervous chuckle. Of course he had no idea what I was talking about, but he could read the look in my eyes, and that wasn't the look of a man about to save someone. It was the look of a man watching corpses to be. I slowly raised my right hand. My bunker doesn't take in garbage. The moment the words left my mouth, I snapped my fingers. The titanium alloy wall surrounding the bunker erupted with terrifying high-voltage discharges. The blood-blade mantises at the front of the pack were instantly blasted away by tens of millions of volts. Fat Lou collapsed to the ground in terror. Young Master Qin, I was wrong. I was so wrong, I swear. I didn't say another word. I'd never go out of my way to slaughter the innocent. But enemies don't get saved, and the wicked don't get mercy. I turned and walked back into the bunker. The heavy titanium gate slid shut behind me, and the screams outside were swallowed by the black mist soon after. By the third day after the red moon, the outside world had become an absolute hellscape. The city center was littered with wrecked vehicles and rubble, while packs of giant mutated stray cats and dogs roamed the streets, hunting down survivors. Inside Blackstone's bunker, meanwhile, the rich aroma of beef tallow hot pot filled the air. Su Xiaodao was eating with grease running down his chin. Bro lie, if the apocalypse is gonna be like this every day, honestly, I think I could get used to it. Jiang Xini shot him a look. Go outside and try it then. Su Xiaodao immediately shut his mouth. I picked up a cold beer, took a sip, and leaned back into the couch. Just then, a harsh alarm blared. Beep, beep, beep. Warning. Large heat signatures detected approaching the perimeter. I tapped the giant monitor to life, and saw a massive crowd surging down the mountain path about a kilometer from the bunker. At least 500 or 600 people, advancing in a dark, endless wave. They were armed with machetes, steel pipes, and a good number of automatic rifles. At the front walked a hulking, bald man, shirtless, his face thick with muscle, a vivid, lifelike crimson python tattoo coiled around his body. Long Wu, leader of the Azure Dragon Gang. In my last life, this guy had used his S-rank blood python awakening to terrorize everyone during the early apocalypse. I never expected that this time around, he'd set his sights on me. On the monitor, Long Wu hefted a massive cleaver, roaring toward the gate. Listen up, you gutless coward. I know you've got enough food stashed in there to last 100 lifetimes. Open this damn gate, hand over your supplies and your women, and if I'm feeling generous, maybe I'll let you live. Now, Di. Otherwise, I'll blow this pathetic shell of yours straight off the map today. These dogs actually dared to set their sights on Jiang Xini. I smiled. No rush. A defense system that cost tens of millions ought to get put through its paces at least once. Outside the bunker, Long Wu waited and waited, but got no response at all. He flew into a rage. You're really gonna make me do this? Fire. Blow that gate wide open. Light it up. Light it up. 3 rocket-propelled grenades screamed through the air, trailing fire, and slammed into the gate. A thunderous explosion tore through the night sky. The Azure Dragon Gang's thugs erupted in excitement. It's down. It's gonna blow. Ha ha ha. Some doomsday fortress. In front of our boss, it's basically a tin can, but as the smoke cleared, every smile froze in place. The gleaming silver-gray titanium gate stood completely unscathed, without so much as a visible dent. Long Wu's expression darkened. Keep firing. Right then, the metal armor plating atop the wall suddenly slid open with a series of clicks, and 12 cold, 6-barreled Gatling guns rose slowly from hidden compartments, their dark muzzles locking mercilessly onto the crowd below. In the control room, I took a sip from my glass and spoke calmly. One warning. The external loudspeakers crackled to life. This is Blackstone Base private property. Leave immediately, or face the consequences. Ha ha ha. Private property? Out here. I am the law. Charge. I set down my glass. Open fire. The next instant, the 12 Gatling guns roared to life in unison. A deafening wall of gunfire. Heavy-caliber armor-piercing rounds wove together into an impenetrable storm of metal, lighting up the mountain path in flashes of muzzle fire. Rows of Azure Dragon thugs went down at once. In just 30 seconds, screams of agony filled the area outside the bunker. Over 200 gang members were taken out of the fight, and the rest scrambled back in pure terror. I sat in the control room, expressionless, indifferent. Some people simply didn't deserve saving. I pressed the stop button. Outside of the 500 or 600 Azure Dragon members who'd come for us, less than half remained. You son of a bitch! I'll skin you alive! Long Wu rose to his feet, drenched in blood, his body wrapped in a thick layer of crimson scale armor. As an S-rank blood python awakened, his vitality and defense were monstrous. Ordinary gunfire wasn't going to kill him. Forget the gunfire. Dig us a tunnel underneath. If I don't kill everyone inside today, I'm not even worth calling a man. Several gang members with awakened pangolin tattoos immediately activated their abilities, digging frantically into the ground. I watched the monitor coldly. Don't know when to quit, do you? I stood up. Shout out Cinny, hold down the fort. I'll take care of the trash. The alloy gate slowly slid open, and I walked out of the bunker alone. Long Wu's lips curled into a grin. Finally decided to come out and die. Ha, boys, get him.